Do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years?
Too many.
Okay, now 5 is a lot, right? I'm gonna give you some credit. Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
The defendant, Tyler James Robinson, intentionally or knowingly caused the death of Charlie Kirk under the following circumstances. The defendant knowingly created a great risk of death to another individual other than Charlie Kirk and the defendant. Notice conviction of this offense may carry the death penalty.
Do you have the power to let power go? Do you have the power to say no to power? You know, I told you guys that Charlie was going through a spiritual transformation at the end, and all of the usual suspects were really angry that I hinted towards that. What do you mean? You're not allowed to say that. They were attacking me, trying to make me fearful, to speak out and speak about the things that I know. I'm not feeling very fearful right now. I am, like I said, very angry.
Candace Owens is spiraling right now after her closest ally and friend, Charlie Kirk, was taken out in shocking fashion. These two have been locked in step for years, and word is Candace is not handling this loss well at all. But instead of fading into silence, she's already vowing to get revenge, promising to expose exactly what went down with Charlie. Now, here's where it gets wild. Charlie was on a campaign stop for his organization, Turning Point USA, at Utah Valley University. The night was shaping up to be typical Charlie. He was deep in a heated back and forth with a student about policies when out of nowhere, the unimaginable happened. A sharp crack cut through the air, and witnesses say Charlie went down instantly, struck right in the neck. Reports are claiming the bullet ripped through his carotid artery, the main line carrying blood to the brain, and that's why he bled out almost immediately. People watching said he slumped over without even having a chance to react. That alone has fueled the storm of speculation online. Was this really just some random act of violence, or was Charlie marked from the jump? Some users swear it was a coordinated hit. Think about it. The alleged shooter, Tyler Robinson, was allegedly perched nearly 200 yards away, and Charlie was under a tent surrounded by hats, bottles, and people blocking the view. To land a clean shot like that on a moving target, that screams precision, not luck. That's why many believe this wasn't chaos at all, but a professional taking him out with cold efficiency. No matter what side you were on with Charlie Kirk, one thing's for sure: nobody deserves to go out like this. Love him or hate him, Charlie had a massive following, but he also had just as many critics ready to tear him down at every turn. Still, debates and disagreements should never end with somebody losing their life, and here's where things turn gut-wrenching. Reports are saying his wife, Erica, and their 2 little kids were sitting right there in the crowd when it all happened. Imagine that. Their daughter just turned 3, and their son just had his first birthday. Instead of watching their dad speak on stage, they had to watch him collapse in front of their eyes. Erica didn't just lose her husband. Her baby saw their father die in real time. That's trauma money can't erase. But while some people are mourning, others online are dragging Charlie's past statements back into the spotlight. Old clips, tweets, and interviews are resurfacing, painting him as cold and extreme in his politics. One viral clip shows Charlie saying he'd force his own daughter to carry a pregnancy full term, even if she was attacked. Another has him claiming that deaths are unfortunately worth it to protect the Second Amendment. Now, people are calling the circumstances surrounding his own death ironic. And if that wasn't messy enough, an outlet like Jezebel stirred the pot even harder. Just 2 days before his death, they published a piece bragging that they hired 2 Etsy witches to put a curse on him. The moment news broke about Charlie's tragic passing, the internet lit up with reactions from every corner, and the divide couldn't be sharper. On one side, there were people openly mocking him, celebrating his death like it was some kind of victory, throwing out cruel jokes and heartless comments. But on the other side, there were thousands sending prayers, condolences, and messages of respect, praising him as a man who stood tall in his beliefs and never backed down. To some, Charlie was nothing more than a hateful, bigoted voice who thrived on division. But to his supporters, he was a man of faith, courage, and conviction who truly loved his country and believed in shaping it through truth and dialogue. The clash of narratives was loud and emotional. Even those who spent years clashing with him, like his harsh critic Dean Withers, admitted they were shaken by how sudden and brutal his death really was.
Charlie Kirk has passed. Just confirmed 2 minutes ago by Trump on Truth Social. Doesn't deserve that, man. Him and his family, they don't deserve that. Listen. His kids don't fucking deserve that, man. His wife and children were in attendance, dude. Imagine, you know, imagine being a 12-year-old, you know, watching your dad fucking die. Nobody deserves that. Not even Charlie Kirk. Nobody deserves that. Gun violence is sad. Gun violence is life-altering, not just for the victim, but for their family, their friends, their loved ones, everyone that they care about. And if you want to claim to care about ending gun violence, then you can never celebrate it.
When it comes to Candace Owens, this loss hit her like a freight train. The moment news of the attack spread, she rushed to Twitter, posting, "Everyone, please stop what you are doing and pray for Charlie Kirk, please." That raw plea showed just how close they really were. These two weren't just political allies, they were practically inseparable. They toured together, shared stages, sat on panels side by side, and backed each other publicly for years. At the time of her first tweet, Charlie was still alive but barely holding on. It was just after 12/23 when he was rushed to the hospital, fighting for his life in critical condition. Doctors rushed him into surgery, but despite every attempt, he didn't make it. And when the confirmation finally came, Candace broke down online, tweeting, "I can't process this," but grief quickly turned to fire. Within hours, Candace shifted from mourning to demanding answers, calling out for the full truth, pushing for a deeper investigation, and hinting that she believed there was more to this story than what the headlines were feeding us. Candace isn't buying the lone gunman story one bit. In fact, she tweeted straight up, "I can't believe this is real. Who called the hit on Charlie? We need answers." That one line sent shockwaves across social media, fueling speculation that this was bigger than just some random shooter. To Candace, this wasn't chaos. This was a setup, and she's making it clear she won't stop until the truth comes out. And she's not the only one raising red flags. Author Michael Savage also stepped in, pointing out major inconsistencies between what officials are reporting and what eyewitnesses are saying actually went down.
The so-called FBI, something's wrong. I know I shouldn't do this. I'm risking an awful lot to go up against this FBI, the MAGA FBI. Something's very wrong with what I just heard. I mean, I watched it. I was hoping that they had caught the bastard who shot Charlie. So we saw video of a person jumping off the roof. It looked very legitimate to me. However, there was no rifle in his hand. Now, the Mauser does not break down very easily, incidentally, for those of you who know weapons. Something's wrong with the whole thing. They're trying to claim he removed the barrel from the Mauser and fit the receiver and stock in his backpack and barrel in his pants leg, all in 2 seconds. It is not easy to remove a Mauser barrel or index it after reinstalling and remain accurate. We are not hearing or seeing reality. And by the way, The photo of the rifle allegedly left in the woods has the barrel installed. So we're supposed to believe a guy is on the run after killing Charlie Kirk, and he pauses in the woods to reinstall a barrel, and then he leaves it for us to find, the FBI to find. I don't believe a word of it. I shouldn't do this. I know I'm putting myself at risk, but I can't take it anymore. I can't take the bullshit from this fucking government. It's lying to us. Something's wrong. Something's so wrong, it's sickening.
That gap between the official version and the street-level details has people convinced something is being covered up. And Candace is ready to blow the lid off. Candace Owens has taken this tragedy to an even darker level, now throwing billionaire names into the fire. She's alleging that hedge fund titan Bill Ackman pressured Charlie Kirk into making a visit to Israel just weeks before his shocking death. According to Candace, that trip wasn't just casual politics, it was tied to bigger power plays happening behind the scenes. But it doesn't stop there. She's also dragging Seth Dillon, the CEO of Babylon Bee, into the mix, claiming he and Ackman held an intense lunch meeting in the Hamptons right before everything went down. Eyewitnesses at that Hamptons lunch supposedly described the vibe as heated. Voices raised, gestures sharp, and Charlie's name being tossed around like he was part of some high-stakes negotiation. Now people are wondering, was Charlie being set up, pressured into moves he didn't fully control, and then silenced before he could speak on it? The more Candace talks, the more this looks less like tragedy, and more like a carefully scripted takedown. At the center of Candace Owens' explosive claims are two powerful names, billionaire Bill Ackman and Babylon Bee CEO Seth Dillon. She insists the two cornered Charlie Kirk during a private Hamptons gathering back in the summer of 2024, trying to force his hand over some of his views on Israel. Charlie has always been pro-Israel, but it seemed that Charlie had questions and started rethinking some of his positions. According to Candace, this wasn't a polite discussion. This was pressure, the kind that comes with weight, influence, and serious money on the table.
I'm an American citizen. Yes, I want Israel to win. Yes, I'm a Christian. But like some of the mess, and you've seen how I've been treated, Megan, by some, not all, by some.
No, it's very irritating.
It's
been
almost
so
as if
unfair. They were coming after you after Turning Point for, among other things, that you had Dave Smith there. Dave Smith is allowed to criticize Israel. You had both sides. The Israeli side was overrepresented.
Though. No, you're not allowed to. It's even worse than that. Again, I just want to repeat for the fifth time. I love Israel. I want Israel to win. But my moral character is now being put into question, Megan. Not my decisions. Not like, hey, are you doing this? Is it smart or is it dumb? But no, I am a bad person if I do this. And I could go, you saw it, Megan. It was trending on Twitter, thousands of tweets and text messages. And if I were to be charitable and generous, I will say the people that are attacking me are in a hyper-paranoid state because they're at war, and war tends to make things black and white, and you're a hammer looking for a nail. So I'm trying to be charitable, Megan. Literally, I'm trying to cut as much slack as I can, right? Like, okay, what would it be like if all of a sudden I'm starting to see a pattern of behavior similar to what my grandparents saw in 1930s Germany online? How would I behave? So that's like my charitable kind of overcompensation spirit. At the same time, I'm like, but it's not defensible to be dumb.
And here's the kicker. Candace says Charlie was offered a massive payout to shift his position. Not just a generous check, but life-changing money. Yet Charlie, in her telling, stood firm and refused the deal. He wouldn't bend, wouldn't sell out, even when the stakes got that high. Now critics are asking, did his refusal seal his fate? Was Charlie's loyalty to his beliefs the very thing that made him a target? Candace sure seems to think so. And she's not holding back from pointing fingers. Candace Owens is doubling down, saying Charlie Kirk's refusal to take the money wasn't just a noble stand, it was a death sentence. In her version of events, the Hamptons lunch with Bill Ackman and Seth Dillon was the ultimate test. Fall in line with their agenda on Israel or face the consequences. Charlie stood his ground, said no to the payout, and shortly after he was gone. The timeline alone has people connecting dots that the mainstream won't touch. Think about it. A young conservative leader turning down billionaire cash, then suddenly gunned down in a suspiciously precise attack? To Candace and her followers, it doesn't feel like coincidence at all. Instead, it feels like punishment. A message to anyone else bold enough to resist powerful interests. Now, online forums are buzzing with claims that Charlie's no rattled more cages than he even realized. And if that's true, his death might not just be tragic, it might be the most chilling example yet of what happens when you cross the wrong people in politics. Candace Owens is now hinting that Bill Ackman and Seth Dillon may not even be the true masterminds, just messengers for bigger forces lurking in the shadows. She's suggesting that the Hamptons meeting was less about friendly persuasion and more like Charlie being handed an ultimatum on behalf of faceless players with global reach. According to her, the billionaires were frontmen, working on orders from powerful circles that don't want their fingerprints anywhere near this mess. Social media is eating this up, with theories flying that unseen donors, global lobbyists, or deep-pocketed political machines could have had a stake in shutting Charlie down. The precision of the attack, the strange timing, and the silence from certain officials have only added to the unease. Some say this looks less like a random act of violence and more like a carefully orchestrated removal, the kind of move that screams, "Step out of line and you'll be next." If Candace is right, then Charlie Kirk may have crossed not just two men in the Hamptons, but an entire network of shadowy power players pulling strings behind the scenes. Candace Owens isn't just tossing names into the wind anymore. She's promising receipts. In her latest posts, she warned that what the public has seen so far is only the tip of the iceberg, hinting that she's sitting on proof that could expose exactly who was pulling the strings behind Charlie Kirk's demise. The way she's talking, this wasn't a rogue shooter, and it wasn't just two billionaires at lunch. It was a machine, and she claims to have the files to prove it.
As if you're just gonna slide into Charlie's chair. Don't do it, okay? That's not even a threat, just a promise. I'll expose everything, I don't care. I will just release every text, I don't care. Sue me, don't care, do it, okay?
But here's the kicker. Candace is playing it close to the chest, dropping cryptic lines about documents, messages, and deals gone wrong without naming exact names. Yet, that silence has the internet spiraling, with some people convinced she's holding back until the timing is perfect. Others say she's bluffing, but her confidence has sparked a countdown vibe, like she's about to blow the lid off something massive. If she really does unleash receipts, this whole story could flip from shocking to downright earth-shattering overnight. And now the world waits, because if Candace Owens really has the receipts she claims, the fallout won't just shake Twitter timelines, it could blow open boardrooms, campaigns, and entire power structures. The whispers of billionaire lunches, secret pressure deals, and shadowy networks already feel like a political thriller. Except this one is unfolding in real time, with Charlie Kirk's life cut short at the center of it all. What makes this so chilling is the unanswered question. Was Charlie silenced because he said no? Did his refusal to bend expose the fact that some voices in politics are never truly free no matter how loud their platforms get? That's the kind of question Candace is daring people to ask. And if she drops what she says she has, we might all be forced to face some ugly truths. What do you all think? Did Tyler Robinson act alone? Did he have help, or was there another shooter? And ultimately, what was the reason behind Charlie Kirk's early demise? Money? Power? Or was it to divide a nation further, driving the thin end of the edge deeper between people? One thing is certain, this saga isn't over. And when those alleged receipts hit, you better believe it'll be everywhere. To stay ahead of it all and catch the next twist before the headlines even break, keep it locked on BarzBuzz, where the real stories live and the truth always hits harder.